being creative is very important to any entrepreneur, not only
Yeah.
on the fashion business
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
creative businesses. Creativity goes in like any kind of business.
Hmm.
And in order for you to be creative, you need to be rested, and you need to be happy, and you
Yeah.
need to, sleep well.
So
And
true.
be, and I take care of myself a lot.
Today, I am thrilled to welcome a true visionary and leader in the world of luxury swimwear, Paula Hermanny. As the founder and creative director of VIX, Paula has been redefining swim and resort wear for over 2 decades. From her beginnings on the beaches of Brazil to creating a globally admired brand, Paula's designs reflect her passion for empowering women and celebrating beauty in all its forms. Her journey is one of creativity, determination, and vision. And personally, I've had the pleasure of being part of the VIX team for over 15 years. It's an absolute honor and privilege to have Paula on the show. Enjoy.
So, Paula, I'm so excited that you're here. We go way back, and you know that. And I remember when we first met. I still remember that story. And I remember when you first decided to start the brand VIX and just bring swimwear to the United States. And so, one of the questions I have for you that I think a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, either they're starting out a business or they've been in business for a long time and they think they're alone, is I'd love to hear when you were that 20-something-year-old that decided to start VIX, what advice would you give her today? Just looking back, what would you tell her today?
Um, I think the most important is to surround yourself with people that know more than you so you can learn with them. And although you have your creative mind and have your goal of what you want to do, when you create a business, you need to know what you wanted to do. And you are inexperienced. In my case,
Mhm.
I was very inexperienced. So finding people that knew what I didn't know was key, and
Mhm.
it's so rewarding. And you were one of the people that, I didn't know how to speak English or write. So
I love
you
that.
helped me with the basic, and surround with people that from the basic to the more strategic
Mhm.
things that you don't even know that you don't know. So
Love it.
that's one advice that I would give to myself and to anyone that start a business. Don't be
I
shy.
love that.
Ask
I love that.
questions.
And you've always been that way. I remember just you've always, first of all, you never took no for an answer. And I'd love to know, where does that come from? Because it's been that way since the beginning, when you're reaching out to the Urban Outfitter buyer, as an example, just going way back, you never took no. Does that come from your childhood, or what inside of you? Like, what was placed in you that
Yeah,
gave you that courage?
it does actually. I remember even being a child, and my mom never let me to go to this nightclub when I was 14, and all my friends went. And every single Sunday, I would ask her again. She's like, "What am I gonna do with you? Stop asking." I said, "No, nothing's gonna change." And I would ask, and I would cry every time the same thing. Or she told me not to go, surfing by myself and take a bus, and I went anyway. Or even when I start VIX, I start trying to distribute a brand from Brazil, and I signed up with one brand, and they canceled last minute, and I was like,
Mhm.
no, I'm not giving up. And I went to Rio and looked for another one.
Yeah.
So I'm very persistent. It's like it's hard for me to. I don't believe in no's. I think I would
I
try.
know, and that's a super skill. Honestly, that's amazing, because so many people would have given up, and you just kept persevering. I remember those times when you were just even pushing me, and I was like, "Well," and you're, "No, let's go, let's go." And I always admired that about you. The other thing that I admire about you that I think a lot of entrepreneurs miss is being so fluent in the financial part of the business, and really just being so disciplined about how you managed your finances and how you thought about your business. I don't know if there's anything you can share on that, because I feel like I go into a lot of businesses that are struggling, and that is a big gap. It's just really knowing their numbers and having the discipline to invest at the right times, but also to pull back at the right times.
Yes, I think that's so important. It was important that day one, and now 25 years later. I feel I always try to do the best with the least, and to save, to invest in other things or opportunities that that comes up without planning. And I think coming from like my family, my dad was very, his family was very wealthy, and they just spend, and one day the money was gone. So I was like, even if you are comfortable financially, you should always have, save and not having loans. And coming from Brazil, it's a country that's very volatile, economically. We had like interest rate going to the roof. So like, I don't count with like a brighter future. I just want
Right.
to make sure, we have for the basics, and having good margins, and make sure that we don't, if you don't make plans with something you cannot afford, just wait,
Right.
work hard. And when you can afford, you can hire that experienced executive, or you can
Right.
move to a nice office,
Right. Right.
or, you know, all those things. So
Yeah, I
it's,
remember going to Miami and having 4 people in a bedroom. You remember? And just, I mean, I remember being at the Delmonico and having figs with, sandwich meat. Remember, we'd wrap them, like,
yeah,
and I loved everything you made because people don't know this, but Paula's like a crazy foodie. She loves food, and I am not, but I got to eat at a Michelin restaurant with you, remember, in Brazil, and there's things you introduced to me, but I love that about you. You've always taken something that's so small but made it so special in your life, and it's enough for you, and I've always noticed that, and I've admired that. So I think that's a great lesson for entrepreneurs too, to look at the things that, not necessarily the shiny objects, and being really focused on the numbers.
yeah,
One thing you taught me, I'll just share this with people, is that I used to say I'm not good at numbers, I'm not good at finance. You remember I would say that, and now
yeah,
I think it's one of my biggest strengths, because I learned that the numbers tell stories, and I love telling stories about what the numbers say in a business. So I'm grateful for that. And I learned that early in my career because I was able to work with you. You're not just a creative genius, but you have this finance operator mindset. You don't live in that mindset as much, but enough to get the right things right. So,
yeah.
um,
And
anyway.
I went to school for economics too, so I learned
Oh,
there.
yes, I
And
forgot.
on sixth grade was my weakness, was math. And I remember like I failed the class and was so embarrassed. And I was like, that I'm going to make this work. It's
Yeah.
probably not that hard. I know some other kids that are better than me, and I think I'm smarter than them. So,
Right. I
like,
love that. That's amazing. I think and you are. I mean, that's the thing. Shay, who's my daughter, as you know, but maybe others don't, she was the same. She was math was her weakness. And I had her with tutors, and actually, it's her best course now, because she finally mastered the foundation of math, and she's really strong in math. So I always think when people say that they're not good at something, it's typically there's just some missing connection of how they learn it. And then I think people can learn anything. That's my opinion. Um,
and one of the lessons too, I was, sometimes when you fail in something or you have a huge challenge, it teaches you so much, and it becomes your strength. Of like with me today, it became my strength, and I want to go to college for math.
yes,
So not
I
for math,
love that.
for economics, but
Yeah, economics. Yeah, I know, I know. And people probably wondering, because you're so successful, you're going back to school. But I think that's what happens, right? We want to continue learning all the time. So
yeah,
that's really interesting. You should do that. You should go to school with Luca at TCU.
no.
Just kidding. um, so let's talk about lessons, because I feel like we've all learned lessons in life. And is there a lesson that you learned kind of the hard way, that you wish you could have taught your younger self, outside of just, some of the things you've already shared? Is there anything else that you want to share, that you're just like, if I could just go back and fix that, or just start over, or do something different, or handle something differently? Is there anything in business?
Yeah, in business, I feel that it took me so long to let control go. I wanted to do everything, and I wanted to do not my way, but I thought me doing would be better than
Mm.
delegating. And I never had an executive assistant for 25 years. And that's something I regret, because it took time of my strategic mind, or creative mind. And it's okay to delegate, and it's okay if the person is not going to do the same way as you do. And sometimes it doesn't mean that's bad. Maybe it's better. It's
Right.
just, you just need to have the courage to delegate. And after I surround myself with other executives, I felt that everybody had an executive assistant. I'm like, wow, what am I missing?
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, now it's too late. you know
No, it's never too late. Honestly, I think that's, I mean, that's the other thing. I feel like a lot of people always think it's too late. And I'm like, no, there's probably so much. I want to talk about what's going on at VIX, because I'm going to say this. I absolutely am in love with everything in the collection, everything that you're doing. It feels so in flow with you, Paula, knowing you for so many years. It's just, I just got chills because it feels so in flow with you. And tell me, I mean, it is. It's just, I look at your, I'm just like, oh, I want to buy everything. It's beautiful, but it's just also timeless. And I can look back at the beginning and I can look now and I still feel the DNA. The DNA is still there. It's so rich and really what's beautiful. And there's things in my closet I can still wear from 2014 and still get compliments on. So tell me, as an entrepreneur, just as a designer, like tell me a little bit about that journey of just really staying true to your brand, because I do see that with a lot of founders, they lose their way.
yeah.
Um,
So thank you for the compliments. But uh, I think not the secret, but one of the most important thing is, especially in fashion and design, I'm involved since day one and to this day. I still go to Brazil 4 times a year. I try everything. I approve everything. And the creative process, I have an amazing team. Um, but the secret of it is, like, I explain to my team exactly what I want. We have a brand book, and we have filters of every product. It needs to go to that filter. And ultimately, I need to love that piece. I want to wear. And
right.
it's kind of dangerous, because I started a business when I was 24, and now I'm 51. So, I don't want the brand to get old at all.
Right.
And but I learn a lot of things, with trends, and with keeping, the brand persona young,
Mhm.
and make sure that young person, which is like, we made a name for our brand persona. She's 25, she's 28, and she's still like sexy. Our brand filters are, needs to
Right.
be sexy. We do resort wear from Brazil, so it screams. And sexy means like chic sexy, not.
Yes, I know. Yes.
And have a statement detail. Every piece that goes in the collection needs to have a detail. And we are very known about like our handcraft details, our gold details that are like, deep in gold, so it doesn't turn.
Yeah.
And also travel oriented brand. Vix is a resort wear brand, so the pieces need to be inspired for you to travel. And one of the secrets is for you to be true to your DNA, because
Mhm.
it got to a time when we had the 2008 crisis, that
Mhm.
we were like desperate. Like, we lost sales, and we would be like, okay, let's expand our vision. Let's make suits for other kinds of customer.
Right.
Let's sell to other stores that we don't sell. And that was a big mistake that I learned, because sometimes when we get like, want to sell more, and you end up giving up some of your true filters and DNA, you can get lost on your brand. And
Yeah.
we did that for a couple 3 years. We were listening what the buyers
I
wanted, and
know.
want to do exactly like what sells most, and don't put a lot of newness into the brand. And
Right.
that, I feel, that can like people don't recognize and they don't think that's that special. So staying true with through to your DNA, it's really important, especially now too with all the movements that's going on.
Mhm.
They are amazing, inclusive. And
Right.
sometimes if you are too inclusive to everyone and every, you lose your DNA, because people like me that create a brand, it's because we didn't find anything in the market that we like it or that fit us.
Mhm.
So you need to stay true to that DNA, and of course you can include other things. But
Right.
I feel
Yeah.
that's very important. And VIX to this day, everyone, like you said,
Mhm.
timeless, and it still has the same look. Every collection, it's not a surprise that I don't see myself in it.
I know. I know. I used to tell people you should be able to buy Vicks, throw it in your suitcase, don't even take the tags off, and know that it's going to fit and that you're going to love it. And that's what the brand is. I feel that's what the brand is. Everything fits beautifully. And you know that you're this bottom and this top and this dress is what you love. And I love that about your brand. I mean, literally, I looked for a dress for Shay's graduation, and I bought a Vicks dress because I was like, this is the most beautiful dress and it feels timeless. And so it's a good test, when someone that's been with the brand for a long time, because sometimes people leave brands and they start loving other brands. But I feel there's no one else doing what you're doing in the space. That's 100% for sure. So congratulations on that. That's amazing.
Thank you. And quality is
Um,
something really important too. I always was very, since day one, I was very focused on quality, and people really
yes,
appreciate that. It's like number one when we do surveys. Oh, I love the quality. And,
yes.
my suit still holds on after 15 years. And it's like, oh, it's really,
No, it's true. It's
yeah.
crazy. I mean, it's crazy. Now Shay's taken all of my suits and that's great too, because it means it does transcend into the younger, you right? I'll love it. Shay'll love it. Hers will be slightly smaller than mine, but we both can wear the same. That's what I love about the brand too. I saw Sophia on Instagram and she was wearing that beautiful striped skirt. I fell in love with a white, you know what I'm talking about? It's
Yeah.
colorful stripe. I said, "Oh my gosh, I love your skirt." And I thought and she said it's my favorite. And for me at 51 to have the same favorite as, your daughter at 21,
Yeah.
22,
Yeah.
that's saying something about the brand. That is a really tough equation to close, to be able to have your daughter wearing your brand and you're wearing your brand.
Yeah.
So
But
I
when
don't
we
know.
decide the collection, it's not only me deciding. And
Yeah.
as you know, I'm very humble, and I
Yes, I know.
love to hear other people, and I take a lot in consideration when making decisions. Other people, other views, other ages,
Yeah.
tastes, and that does everybody like? Okay, so it's a yes. You know,
Yes, yes, yes. There's a lot of yeses right now for your brand. And I know when you mentioned that your design team has grown quite a bit and you still are able to keep everything with all those tools you brought in, the filters. I think that's such an amazing success. Tell me a little bit about Brazil versus US, just in general. I think that's one thing that I'm seeing so clearly is that you're spending a lot of time in Brazil, which I feel is keeping you closer to that DNA of what built the brand, and you're staying true to that, and that's translating. Remember when you started, it was United States kind of in, it was kind of the United States, right? It was like people were buying it in Brazil because it was a American brand, and now it's back to its roots. So how does that feel? I think that's so cool.
yes. So Brazil, I start selling to Brazil in 2009. So the brand was founded in 2002, and I took the brand to Brazil 7 years later. And I think the secret in Brazil, the brand grew so fast. It's because we were a non-brand,
Mm,
in Europe and in the United States, and we had all these famous people wearing our suits. And in Brazil, there's not so many big department stores, that you can sell to Urban Outfitters and
yeah.
or like a Saks and Neiman Marcus and Nordstrom's. So we opened retail stores right away, and that helped us to expand the assortment. So it was not
Mhm.
only swimwear and resort wear and couple dresses. So we had to have, like, brick and mortar stores that are open 12 months a year, all the seasons. So we expand the assortment, and it made the brand even more lifestyle, because a person would go to the store, they would find, the whole
Mm,
travel suitcase there.
I love that.
And we could, the architecture for me is very important too. So our first store was so beautiful, and really, like, the architecture of the store matches with the elements of the brand. Everything's so
Mhm,
handcrafted, and we use like straw, and we use like the gold. We put
mhm.
all the elements that I use on the brand, on the product, into the store. And now we have 23 stores.
Oh my gosh.
I
That's
know.
crazy.
Yes, and it was great, and I love Brazil, and we live the lifestyle there.
Yes.
We wake up and go to the beach, and we spend a lot of time on the beach on the weekends, and with our family, with friends, and it's a tropical country. And I wanted,
Mhm.
the reason I founded Vix in the United States, because I want to bring the beach culture from Brazil to America, and that
Right.
was the main reason. The brand was very well accepted here, because there was not this product. People didn't have a beach culture.
At all.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I tell people this. I tell everyone that asks me about Vix, I say she created the category of swimwear with a purpose, with a fashion purpose. It was no one cared about swimwear until
Yeah.
Paula brought Vix. It's the truth. And just it's crazy. I mean, I tell people I'd love to hear, because you started the brand where it was being on the cover of Victoria's Secret, being on the cover of magazines, having all that was how we built that was what marketing looked like. And now
Mhm.
marketing is social media. And so I'd love to hear just your thoughts on like how that's evolved for you as a brand, because you've seen all these different eras. Now it's TikTok and Instagram, and I love your Instagram. It's beautiful. But that's also kind of been a journey, just the whole marketing piece of the brand.
Yes, and was it's a part of the business that I always so focus on operations, and
Mhm.
finance, and the creative side. The marketing side was, for me, it was important to be in Vogue and Bazaar and all these magazines, old
Yeah.
fashioned, and even PR was not. I was not focused on PR. It came organically. And now, so we were a little bit late to the game, to be completely honest, with marketing and social media, because I was like, oh no, I just want people to wear the brand, people that I admire to wear the brand. I
Mhm.
was not so focused on influencers or famous people that people send product just because they were famous, but they didn't have like a fashion background.
Right.
And it took me a long, long, long time to understand, or to hire a PR firm, or to invest on this channel. And even nowadays, if you look at our Instagram, it's very brand oriented. It's
Mhm.
just beautiful images. It's just like a mood board of what I
Yes.
that is beautiful. It's not like with a bunch of, like, we don't post famous people, we don't
Right.
post influencers, and they are very important for every business, but I'm not discrediting them. But I
Right.
just want to keep, the beauty and the brand and the DNA
Yeah.
very, very clean. So,
I
we
love that.
invest in social media a little bit, but Vix is not like a trendsetter on that
Yeah.
category area.
But there's definitely, you just did a collaboration. How was that? I've been following the collaboration. So tell me how that happened.
Yeah, so Bianca Brandolini, she's an Italian talent. She's Italian, and her mom is Brazilian.
Oh,
And she has
wow.
been wearing the brand for 10 years, and she is so fashion forward. She's, in the fashion industry. She dresses really sexy, and she travels like it's like she fits our brand like a glove.
Yeah. I know. She's perfect.
Lifestyle, it's like a brand. She wears the
Mm.
brand, and she has this Brazilian um, DNA. Her mom is
Right.
Brazilian. She loves Brazil. So we never done a collab, because I want to have a purpose to do a collab. And
Mhm.
when we thought about, let's do a collab with someone that loves the brand
Yeah.
first, that has our DNA, and we thought of her. So it was really really nice. We contact her. She's like, "Oh my God, I would love to. I love the brand." So I
Wow.
was on my way to Europe with Sophia to celebrate her birthday, and she lives in Paris,
Hmm.
and she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be in New York." So I stop on my way to France in New York, and we had a dinner reservation, and I met her and her manager, and the deal was closed in 2 hours
Yeah.
dinner because we
Wow.
so easily,
Right.
we didn't even talk about terms because she's like, I wanted to do, and I said, I want to. It's our first
Mhm.
collab. You have to work with us, and it was so smooth, and like, even the
Yeah.
creative process was so easy because she already likes the brand,
Yeah,
and
you can tell too. When I saw the images, I was just in awe. It was so beautiful, and you can just feel she is the Vix woman. I mean,
yeah,
she's that woman, and she's living the lifestyle the aspirational lifestyle that you talk about, and that so many people buy the brand for because they feel that way when they're wearing it. So I love that. It was so beautiful to see, and I was so excited for you. And I saw the poolside, I guess you had like a launch party and things like that. It was really neat to follow. So, and I
mm,
know because I was inside the brand for so long that that's a big deal for you. And
yeah.
I really, and what happens behind the scenes to make that happen is also a lot of work, but it's also when you see it come to life, it's pretty cool. So,
And
congratulations on
the
that.
choice of her too, I didn't
Yeah.
go with like a super famous person because it needs to make sense.
Yeah. No, it totally, and it felt authentic. It didn't feel
Yeah.
like a forced, oh, it felt really authentic. And so I love that. So tell me, so how are we doing on time? We're at 25 minutes. I want to make sure I'm respectful of your time because I know you are on a schedule. I know your personality, in which I love that about you. Tell me, let's talk a little bit about how you balance your personal life and your business. Like, is there any tips you can give to other entrepreneurs about kind of what you do to, because you're in beautiful shape, you have a beautiful family. These things all happen, but it doesn't happen with some intention, of really understanding how to build your life. Is there anything you want to share? Any tips you can share with me and others?
Yeah, sure. I do, I take very good care of myself because being creative is very important to any entrepreneur, not only
Yeah.
on the fashion business
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
creative businesses. Creativity goes in like any kind of business.
Hmm.
And in order for you to be creative, you need to be rested, and you need to be happy, and you
Yeah.
need to, sleep well.
So
And
true.
be, and I take care of myself a lot. I have friends, I have my hobbies, I stop working at 5. I don't work on the weekends. I have an amazing team that only led me to do this because building a good team and a good culture, it's really important as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
And so I always thought that this was very important. And even going on vacations, it's really important with my family. So I
Yeah.
still have this bond. And my best ideas come when I'm on vacation. The
Oh, I love that.
last one, it's like I went to Sofia to celebrate her 20th birthday. We went to Saint Tropez, and the third day there, I said, Sophia, I want to open a store here because it's so beautiful. It's like, it's a
Yeah.
lifestyle. Vix would do so well. And, now we have a store there.
Yeah.
And, and it's just because we live the lifestyle. And I think
Yeah.
but going back to your question, I think that taking care of yourself and make sure you are motivated and happy
Hmm.
and have a balanced lifestyle, it's the key. Working too much, you know um, it doesn't help creativity, doesn't help stress, and doesn't help uh, it's y- you get unmotivated after a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah. No, it's so true. I mean, I definitely know the years we gave. I remember, when we had our little ones. Luca's the same age as Shay almost. I think he's a little bit older, 1 year older, but they're in the same level. But I remember us just going back to work right after it's so different now, right? Because if we could go back, it's a different time. I remember 6 weeks going back because I used to think it was the business needed me, but I needed the business too. And it
Hmm.
felt so important to be back in the business and to make sure that and I feel regret is I do not have any regrets about my life. I feel everything I have is because of all the decisions I've made. And it's a beautiful story. But I do know that there's a lot of entrepreneurs in your position and in mine that have, missed some time with their family, because when you're building a business, it's demanding.
Mm-hmm.
So is there anything like, I always think about that when I think about you too, because you made it look really easy, but there were times. I'll give an example, not of what happened specifically, but of a moment that really, really transformed me. Was you and I were going through some rough times in the business. It's very normal. There's cyclical things that happen. And I remember being in your office. I remember your big brown desk and standing at the corner. That moment, I knew exactly where I'm standing because it was that kind of moment. And I remember you saying to me, these are the moments when people quit and they give up. And we're not going to do that. And I remember thinking, okay, we're not doing that. But I remember thinking, wow, she's so strong. I would love, like, have you had those moments, or is that just, I don't know. To me, I think it's so important for people watching this to understand that just because all these beautiful things are happening in your life, it doesn't mean it doesn't come with the hard things that you have to face and you have to move through. Um, Anything to share on that? Because for me, it's just was a pivotal moment for me. Because there's times when, I felt like, what am I doing? I'm so tired. I work with a lot of brands that I call them turnarounds, but they need me at that point. It's no longer let's do fun things. It's let's stay in business. You know what I mean? And so there's times when you're just like, can I get another one of these out of me? This is hard. But I'm just curious, do you still have those times in the business, or is it different now because you have the resources to solve most problems? So
No, we still have it. It's
yeah.
still the same, and
Mhm.
one of the moments, in 2011, we had a flood in our company in Brazil. We lost everything. It was 6 feet of water. The whole production was 3 months to rebuild everything. And
Yeah.
I was like, I decided to move to Brazil with my whole family in a week because I need to be there to motivate the people. These kind
Yeah.
of tragedies are really impactful to everyone. And I don't know where I found strength. You just like in hard times when you're a mother,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah. I know.
and you breastfeed all
Mhm.
night and you have to
I
wake
know.
up and
I know.
go with your day. And it was so important in so many ways. I rebuilt the company. The team was so close together. We worked so tight
Mhm.
as a team inside the company, and also with my vendors. Everybody came together to help us. And personally, it was the best year, like because I
Mhm.
had the chance and the courage to spend a whole year with my family in Brazil, which my kids would not never had the opportunity to live in Brazil for a year. After being in the United States for 15 years, I spent the whole year there.
Mm.
It was amazing. So sometimes challenges they come, we see them as like so scary, and what I'm
Mhm.
gonna do, I'm gonna lose so much, and we end up gaining in different ways.
Right.
Sometimes
Right.
not financially, but it's in other ways. So I nowadays when challenge comes, I'm like, okay, it's part of
Yeah.
life. I welcome them in a way to say, "Okay, how can we creatively solve this problem?" And I'm sure something good's gonna come out of it. Even COVID was an
Yeah.
example. Was
Yeah.
very devastating, but in the end, we had to make some decisions that were the best things for the business.
Yeah. I know. I love that. I feel the same. I welcome. I mean, I tell Shay to fail often, all the time. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm actually trying. Sarah Blakely her dad used to say to her that, the owner of Spanx, everyone knows Sarah Blakely, but her dad used to say to her every night at dinner that he'd say, what did you fail at today? What did you fail at today? Which is the crazy, but it made her so fearless because she'd go out in the day to fail at something. So she'd have something to talk about with her father, but I love that because I feel, and I think there's a tendency to be afraid of failing, but it's in the times where I've, skinned my knees or failed. And I remember working with you and you saying, we don't know how to do this, but we're going to figure it out and we'll be better at everyone else. And it's true. Like we would figure things out ourselves and we'd learn the hard way. But I wouldn't be who I am without it. And so I love that. I forgot about the flood, but that was, I mean, there were suits and people lost their lives. It was horrible. And it
Yeah.
makes you realize, things are, it feels so small what you do when there's real tragedy, So I love that. Thank you for sharing that. So let's talk really like a little bit about, I'm sure you had a vision when you started the brand of what you wanted. And what's your vision for Vix now,
Mm,
25 years later?
yeah. I love where we are, in regards of the brand.
Mhm.
It's exactly what I envisioned, have a lifestyle brand, and now it it made it happen. We have
Mhm.
all categories. We have accessories, we have clothing, and we have brick and mortar stores. We are expanding retail in the United States, so that's very exciting.
Oh,
After,
that's so neat.
yeah, we have one store in Miami, and we are opening, we started in Florida actually, because Florida has the same weather and people wear like light clothes,
Mhm.
almost every month of the year.
I
So
know. No, it never gets cold here. I swear.
yeah, and we are expanding retail in the United States, and we're expanding in Europe too. We just opened a store in France, and Saint-Tropez, and we are, gonna keep opening
Yeah.
some when makes sense. But as far as product, I feel we have a perfect assortment. We
Yeah.
have
I do too.
3 seasons, and we have all the categories, and I'm really happy where we are now. It's so weird to say, but I thought
Yeah.
that would never be that moment, because I'm very, I'm always looking at the
I
future and
know.
like creating something new and wanting more things. I'm very highly motivated person, and
I know. I
I also
know.
like new things, new change. I think I get bored with like what
Yeah.
I have. And but I'm really happy where we are now. And
That's so great.
just to make sure, and it's hard to keep too.
Mhm.
So we make sure that we are doing fine tune what we do well.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I love that you're because I remember you'd come to my office and you would say, I have this really big idea. And I've learned to say to you, okay, well, if you're still excited tomorrow, come back. Because I was like, I'm going to run down this path. And I really hope it's, that kind of, because you're creative and you're a visionary. And I always knew that one of those ideas, and they always, it's not all of them hit, but there was always something inside of there that created something great in the business. And so, I love that about you. I remember when we were young, you just like wanting to master cooking and just food. And you've always, everything you've done, I feel like you've just mastered it.
Not
Is how,
everything, but
but
I love so much cooking, and I love food. That's so natural to me. And it's like,
yeah,
it's my creative outlet every day,
yeah,
when I go to my kitchen and make dinner for
yeah,
me and for the family, even if the family is not at home, because Luca now is in college, I still
yeah.
making it creatively beautiful and everything. And
Yeah.
one thing, Kelly, I
Mhm.
don't know if you know, we opened a school inside our manufacturer,
I
and
saw that. I love that.
called Casa Vix, and we teach women to sew and to embroider, and we teach them not, it's a free course for anyone that wants to learn, and we
Wow.
try to give them a diploma that's from Vix, and for them to work either in the company or anywhere else that they want, or even opening their own business. We teach them how to create resumes, how to do interviews, what are the
Wow.
few steps to, if you want to become an entrepreneur, and
Right.
that
I
can
love
be
that.
like having your own business, and also make for other companies, or working at home, as a as an individual. You don't need
Right.
to
Right.
work in a company. Yeah. So
I
that's,
love that. Paula, how did that come about? Was there just a moment where it kind of came together or?
yeah, it was this category, like handmade things are being extinguished in the market.
Mhm.
So, and giving back is so important too. So it's like I had so much opportunity. I learned so much with so many people. I had many opportunities, and I want to give the same to, that people that want to learn this
Right.
category, and also to create these this work for, for generations to come.
Right. I love that. Oh my gosh. I saw that actually. I saw the post on LinkedIn and I was so excited for the brand because I know that that's what you've always, and I love that it's in Brazil that you're giving back and creating. I mean, honestly, it's what makes your product so special. People just, there's just these moments and details that you really don't see in the market very often. You just don't. So I love that. And a lot of people don't realize this, but Paula's an amazing cook. And if you work for her, you're always fed. Because every time I would go and have meetings at her house, she would feed me. And I still make your Brazilian rice for sure. I call it Brazilian rice because you taught me how to make it, or I watched it being made. But it's a big deal because I would just go to your house and felt so you're a very nurturing person who takes care of people. And you have this like savvy business side, but you're also this nurturing, motherly, very caring person. So I think that's really important for people to realize. There's always that, people just think that they're just like hard ass, like entrepreneur kind of thing, but you have this other side of you. That's why I think you bring great people in your life. So that's
Thank
pretty
you.
neat. I love that.
Mhm.
Okay, so and let's see. I'm getting to a point where I feel like we've talked about so many things. We've talked about a lot of these things. So anything else that you want to share before we wrap up? And
Oh, I think that like the message I want to send, it's just try to understand who you are and what
yeah,
you love, what makes you like your body, like, have butterflies, what you're passionate about it. Try
yeah,
to find out your passions and try to make, a living out of it. We
yeah.
don't need to, I think that's a mistake is like, oh, what makes most money, because people are driven by success in this sense. And but the
Mhm.
biggest success is like, follow your passion and wake up every day motivated and think creatively and be happy for what you do, because we spend, most of our day in our work. So make it fun, make it like exciting, and be creative. So don't be afraid, even if you think that, oh my God, this will never make money. Sometimes money is not most important things, and you'd be surprised, even things, anything can make, if you were passionate about it, your story is going to be heard, and it's going to be interesting because it's
Yeah.
authentic. So authenticity is very important.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. I just listened to a podcast recently and was talking about happiness and kind of what does happiness mean? And the gentleman was like he studied happiness, which sounds like a crazy thing, but he said something that I thought was so smart. He said that, and I'm just going to use the number 100,000, but you can, if you make $100,000 a year, depending upon where you live, you pretty much like have your needs met in your life. And people think that more creates more happiness, but it actually can create complexities in your life. And so, it's sort of like that. I don't know how to explain it, but it's sort of like that false illusion that it's the things that make you happy, but it's really the service, the serving of others. And I think that's why I've worked with entrepreneurs, because I love helping them see their dreams come true. And that's feels service to me, but also I'll just thank you for everyone. Like I wouldn't be where I am at without you believing in me and believing in me when I was in my 20s and knew nothing, but I knew how to learn. I was really good at learning. And you saw that in me. And you always said, you know, you're going to be better at it than anyone else once you figure it out. And I
Yeah.
feel like and I love that, but you believed in me when no one else probably would have at that point. And so I'm so grateful for every moment I had at Vix and um, every craziness that happened as far as, the ups and the downs, but I'm just grateful to even have that is on my resume. I feel so blessed and honored. So I really thank you, Paula. And
Thank you too. You helped so much the business. You were my first employee.
Number 2.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I know. No, I
So
know, but
we
it was
went,
amazing.
you helped to build the business too. And I'm very grateful and very thankful. And we went, back and forth so many
Yes,
times.
yes,
And
yes. I
we're
know,
still
I know.
friends to this day.
Yes,
So
I
it's
know. I
great.
tell people we live like 10 lifetimes because of the amount of time we spend in business together. It was like it was like 10 lifetimes together. And I remember sitting around the table, we'd be interviewing people or meeting with people, and I could look at you and I knew what you were thinking. It was just like we got to that point where it was just almost like we were married. So But anyway, thank you so much, Paula.
You
I
are,
really appreciate everything. I'm so grateful for you taking the time.
of course. Thank you. It was really fun. I talk to you soon.